So to kick off, I guess, the tutorial for new side developers, we're going to do basically a walkthrough of how to make a very simple change to the side. Um, yeah. So this is going to be just a live demo. There's some resources that I'll post in the I guess there's a Google Doc um, that sort of summarizes some of the stuff that I'll be going through. But most of it will just sort of be on the fly. And I encourage anyone to ask questions, or if there's something that I'm doing and you're a developer that sort of adds to it, feel free to just chime in and yeah, sort of. Can you see the screen? I am seeing something that says something about network issues. Um,
Looks
can you?
okay to me.
Okay, is it sort of this dual screen with the
Yeah,
terminal? Okay, perfect.
terminal on the left. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a change to Psi4. Um, and so the first thing that we need to do is first make sure that we have a compiled Psi on our laptop or wherever we're working. And so I'm not going to go through how to compile Psi and all of that. I think Lori might talk about that a little later. But sort of starting off with an object directory and all the source code somewhere, what do we do? Um, First, we don't directly make changes to Psi4, right? So instead of sort of pulling the code here like this, what we need is our own fork, and that's easy to do by just clicking fork. And I already have a fork, but if you don't, it'll say make a fork, and you just click that button, and you'll get something that looks like this, where it's sort of your GitHub name slash Psi4, and it says forked from Psi4 slash Psi4. This is where you are going to make your changes in this repository. Um, and so what you need is certainly to pull it, compile it, all of that. We won't do all that right now because it's kind of a lot. So on the left here, what I have is I'm in sort of this main directory here in my branch of Psi4. Okay, so there are a few things that we need to kind of set up to um, sort of make the workflow possible. And it's all about having what we have on our local machine communicate with our fork on GitHub and with the main repository Psi4 slash Psi4 on GitHub. And so I always like to do this first, where we add Psi4 slash Psi4 as what's called an upstream. And that's pretty easy to do. Um, it's called adding a remote. And I'll just type the command, and I'm not going to run it because I already have it, but you do git remote add upstream. Is this too small also, or should I make it a little bigger?
A
Yeah.
little bigger could be good.
Is that good? Git remote add upstream, and then we want our upstream to be the main Psi4 repository, so we would just add that in here. And then I would press enter, but I'm not. And we can check our sort of remotes with git remote, I do -v, and we see a few things here. One is that something called origin. We have our own fork of Psi4. We have sort of fetch and push here. And then there's this upstream that we've just added, which is the main Psi4. And so what we do is we'll make changes to our own fork. We will pull from upstream to make sure all the code's consistent with any changes that have been going on with the main Psi4 repository, and then we'll open a pull request so that changes we make in our own fork can be merged into the main Psi4. And that's sort of the whole procedure. But it's very important to have upstream. And so my fork now, it's up to date with master, with upstream's master. But say I did this fork a while ago and I haven't updated it in a while, before I make changes, I always think it's a good idea to just get everything up to date. And so what that means is pulling from upstream into your own branch or into your own fork. And that is pretty easy to do. It's just git pull. And we're not going to do just a normal pull. We're going to do a rebase, which is dash dash rebase upstream master. So what this does is it takes whatever the state of upstream is, which is sort of Psi4/Psi4 as it is on GitHub, and then we're going to pull that into our current fork of the master branch. And we do that, and we see everything's up to date because I just took the fork. But if there are any changes, then there might be some merge conflicts that we may or may not need to resolve during the rebase. But I'm not going to go into the details of like rebase necessarily, but it's just, I guess, like a much cleaner way to do all this merging, so you don't have all of these merge commits and things like that. The history looks a lot nicer. Okay. Another sort of important detail about making changes to Psi, so we're already on our own fork. We also want to be on a different branch of this fork. So right now, right here, I have this nice little thing that says master. That tells me I'm on the master branch, and I could look at branches by just typing git branch. Oh, I did. And I'm on master. I have another one that's old, but it's always good to know which branch you're on. And this is just sort of a version of your own repository that that you are working on, and they can have sort of different focuses. Like this one's about something with Hessians. But for every pull request or every change you want to make to Psi, you always want to have a branch on your own fork where you do all the work. Okay. I'm not missing anything. So the first thing we want to do is sort of figure out what change we're going to make in Psi, and then we'll make a branch for it, and then we'll do some work and open a pull request. So we're going to do something really simple. Lori pointed out that there's an issue, so we can look at these issues. Very simple. Yeah, option names. So Francesca says there's a problem where if we set options like this and there's an extra space, the code breaks. And really the Psi should know that we're saying SCF type with a space before or after it. It should still know that that's the right key for this option and so on. And so this is a pretty simple thing to do to fix. And so what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we're gonna try to change Psi so that this is no longer an issue. And so we'll start by making our own branch. So we do git branch, git checkout -b, and then the name of our branch. I don't know, what should we call it? Option fix, maybe. Although this is much smaller than maybe an option fix, but we'll just name it this for now. And it says switch to a new branch, option fix. My little indicator here now tells me that I'm on the option fix branch. If I type git branch, we are on option fix. And so far, option fix will be identical to master, but once we change option fix, it obviously won't be, and we'll need to do rebases and stuff if our upstream changes while we're still working on this pull request. Okay, so now we're on option fix, and we can start to think about making our changes. So the first thing I want to do is see if I can replicate this behavior, just so that we know we actually fix it, so we don't push something that really is untested. So I'm going to go into this other tab and make it bigger. So see here, I'm still on option fix, and I have gone into test/PyTest. It's just a simple way to test. It's really convenient, all Python based. And I'm just going to run one test just to show you that it all works. Hopefully it does. And these little green dots are not necessarily the right color on my screen, but it shows that that test is passed. There should be 6 of them. And I guess what we'll do is we'll copy this into a new test, which is much faster, that only tests this issue. And we'll see if we can fix it, which should be very quick. And we'll sort of get back to more of the workflow-based side of this. Let's just go on. We'll just assume those all pass. Okay. We're going to copy test Psi4 into maybe test option .py. And then this thing we've made, let's only do one test just for speed. And we'll just get rid of this, all the rest of this. And so the behavior was there was like some space or some typo or some, not a typo, but just an added spaces here. And so we can just add one here. Maybe we'll add one in front of it too in case that happens sometimes. And well, first we should make sure this test passed sort of as is. So we just run it normally. Cool, that passed and it's nice and quick. And so let's sort of add our bug. And we see what? Oh, it fails. And this attribute error, exactly the same one that was reported in the issue on GitHub, which is nice. So we can, it seems like a reasonable replication of this. Okay, so luckily the way to fix this is super easy. And I'm not going to go as much into sort of where everything lives inside. I'm just sort of going to go basically straight to the fix. So this is in Psi4 driver P4 util, and there's all these sort of nice Python files here that do all these useful things. And this one is in Python helpers. This is the top of it. We see that it's in 446. So we'll go there. Okay. Yeah, so basically this Optionsdict, which is what's passed in this function here, it's finding keys that it doesn't like because of these extra spaces. So we can start by doing something really simple, where let's just remove the spaces before and after the key and see if that solves it. And it should. So I'm going to go into my source. And Psi4. I have everything in a separate object. That's why it was a problem. And then I'll just make install quickly. So this changes will be reflected into where I run the code from, which is determined from where my install prefix is. And hopefully this won't be a problem anymore. Hopefully this is quick. Should be. Yeah, I mean, it's not really compiling anything. It's just everything. It's just a small.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'd like to feed you an interesting question from Dr. Evangelista. Is K a copy or reference to the key in the Python dictionary?
Good question. Yeah, that's a good point. So Psi4 driver, where was all this stuff? P4 Python helpers. So yeah, so the question points to the fact that so we stripped the spaces from K here. That doesn't change what's in Optionsdict, right? That still has the problem, and we may or may not see that in our test. I think this is a copy though, right? Not 100% sure, but I think that's what is happening. So this might not be the best fix for this. So let's see if it works for this test. So it fixed this test, which is good. Yeah, whether or not it's the best solution will be decided, but that'll actually highlight something really nice about the whole procedure of how these pull requests work, is that there's a lot of space for discussion about things exactly like this, which is sort of the whole point, that we can add when we make changes to Psi, they're very well reviewed and sort of discussed and thought about and that kind of thing. So we've made a change. I'll do Git Status to look at what's been changed. And we see here that we've modified that Python helpers.py, and we've added this test, which we have done, which is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit these. And again, I'm still on my branch of my fork. So I'm going to add this file, Python helpers. And what does that do? That then stages. Yes.
Jeff, for now, make sure that you add that file to Psi4/CMake list so that it shows
this
up
file?
in the test. Yeah,
The
if
test?
you vi Psi4.CMake list. So not the top level Psi4, but the,
yeah.
And just search test underscore and you'll see where.
Aha.
There.
So yeah, so we wanted to we need to add our test to, that's a good point, add our test here. And so I'll just put it right here. And it was called again test option. Okay. And then we see that's also changed. So we'll also add that. And okay, so those are both staged, and we also want to add our test. So I'll just go over here and add it.
I have a question.
Hmm?
So is Git Add, so there's a shortcut where it's Git Add -A. Is that generally recommended? I mean, I do it all the time when I develop.
I do it. I mean, here that would be safe because it really just adds all the files that are modified that are tracked. It depends on a few things, namely that sometimes it's convenient to organize your commits. And maybe if you haven't been doing your commits sequentially, but you've done a lot of changes and you have all these files, you may want to commit them separately. You may not. I usually like to stick to smaller, sort of more detailed commits, but that's certainly not a rule. I always think Git Add -A or Git commit -A's to me it can be risky, I guess, but for something like this, it's certainly certainly the fastest, and it's definitely perfectly valid. But it wouldn't add this untracked file, so I think we had to add that one ourselves. Okay.
In my opinion, I like to double check what I'm adding and categorize it like Jeff said. So I find the git add -p a helpful little command because that lets you choose little bits of a file at a time.
That's I think by far the safest way to do it, exactly like Lori said. Where if you make many changes to a file, you can go through them systematically.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's something I learned actually fairly recently. Okay, so all of our changes here, we've added them. They're all staged. So we can then just do a commit, give it a message. We'll just do try options, remove spaces when reading options or something like that.
Do you want to try add fixes pound 2004 to that message, maybe?
Yeah. Add fixes. Oh, yeah. Not add. Yeah, so what this does is this references this particular issue. So we know that once this is all approved, we can go back to this issue and call it resolved, assuming that we've done so in a way that we like. All right, so we can commit this. Yeah.
And GitHub will actually do that for you. So as soon as this commit is merged, then it will close the issue.
Yes. So one thing I like to do before pushing is always to check upstream to make sure that everything is okay to push. So we'll do again git pull -- rebase upstream master. So again, this checks that Psi4/Psi4 that we can just overlay our changes onto whatever the most recent version of that is. Again, no changes have been made in the past few minutes, so everything's still the same, which is good. So then I will push these changes to my GitHub. So I'm on Jeff Schriber /Psi4. When I push these changes, it's going to make this branch here. It's not listed currently. So I'll do git push origin option fix. And it'll say a few things here, like we made a new branch on GitHub, and we can make a pull request, blah, 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 blah. And we see here that it's already knows we've done this. We can, maybe we have to refresh, but you can go to that branch. And so this means we're on the branch and we see our commit is here, remove spaces, fixes this one. And now we want to compare on pull requests. So I think it's a good idea when you make a change, whether it's small or big, but especially if it's big, to make pull requests pretty early on. That way people know that you're working on it, which is, people won't also be working on the same thing, which is good. And also if you open it early, people can maybe give guidance, or it's a good place to sort of discuss about what to do with the changes you're trying to make. Questions about that key being a reference or a copy, that kind of thing, would probably go here too, and they may very well. But so when we open this pull request, this basically tells us what we're doing. We are merging from my fork, so me/Psi4, this option fix branch. We're merging that into main or Psi4/Psi4, the master branch. And we can change these around, but we don't want to, because this is the branch that we're doing. And so it has this nice template here for just describing your pull request and telling people if it's ready to go or things like that. And so it automatically puts our first commit, message as the title. I think I'll leave that. It's good to give a lot of info in these pull requests. This one's so small that it's probably not going to fill most of these, but honestly, I might just copy this here, because that's basically all there's to say about it. To-dos questions, I don't know if that necessarily applies to this one, but it's nice to have as much, say as much as you can, about your pull request, especially if you're adding new features. We're not really adding a feature, so these kinds of things we can, just get rid of. Checklists, always good to have tests. So we did add a test, and these checkboxes here are important to let sort of the main developers of Psi know that things are ready to be looked at. And then we can create pull requests, and it's here. So your pull request will have a tag, a number. They'll be in the list of pull requests until it's done. And this sort of has a big status of your code. We see our commit is in this little timeline here. These things are, they basically compile and test the whole, or some portion of the test, but it's very thorough. And so you can't merge your code unless all the tests pass. Additionally, we need 3 approving reviews to get this merged. So that means that reviewers will look through this change and either approve it or say you need to change something about it. But that's where this will go for the time being. And we added tests, so we can check this box. I think we can check this box too. And I think this is basically ready for review because it's, a very simple thing. Not ready for merge yet because, we haven't, it's not approved, but this is basically how you get to this point where you say, like, here are my changes, or at least all of my proposed changes. What do you all think about it? And this checkbox means I think I'm done. Tell me if something else needs to happen or what else I need to do, or if everything's just looking good. And we see Lori has had a comment here. Yep. So this is, this says, well, let's not just change this copy. Let's go into the option and actually do it. And I say, okay, that's a great idea. So for driver before util, Python helpers. Okay. And she says, add the following line. So we're just going to copy this. And
I think just edit 449.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Okay. So do we even need this line anymore?
No.
No, because it just looks at the stripped one instead. All right. And I will say, I like that. So thumbs up. And we see, again, we have our change. So we'll add it. Or this is one line in one file. So I think I will do the git commit -a. Or no, we'll do the -p, right? We'll see. Will this just go through all of them, right? Yeah.
You don't need an argument. Yeah.
And this was my change, so I got rid of these three. I'm like, okay, yes. And then we can write our message. Add Lori's fix. Okay. And so we do git status again. I type git status probably 100 times whenever I'm doing anything GitHub related, just so I always know where I am and what's been done and what hasn't. Okay. So now we can push git push origin option fix. So this will push this new fix. And if we refresh here, we don't even have to refresh. You see this commit's been added to the timeline, and it'll restart all of these checks. And I can resolve this, or I'll maybe say thanks. And then resolve. Okay, I don't know if this is going to get approved this second or not, but just to sort of, I guess, wrap this up, once your pull request has been approved, your branch is no longer needed, and so you can just get rid of it. Game changer, yes. Yes, so you get nice comments from reviewers, hopefully. And once it's approved and all merged, you can safely remove your branch. And to do that, it's pretty simple. So you first just do it locally with git, where is it? Branch -d, and then the branch name. You can't be on the branch, but actually have to git checkout and maybe go to master or something. So now I'm back on, I'm pointing at my screen like you can see. Now I'm back on master. And I can just do git branch just to see for sure. Yes, there we are. And if you do -d, it deletes branch. And actually, I can delete this really old UHF one, so we'll do that for an example. And so this will just delete your branch. And if we go, I want to leave that up, so we'll just go this show, where are we here? My branches, this one still shows up even though I deleted it here. I have to sort of, to GitHub, push the fact that I deleted it. And so here I'll just git push origin, and then instead of just the branch name, I do colon branch name. And then it says, okay, on GitHub, we're also deleted. Yeah, and now since I was on it, it's like, we don't know what this is anymore. So that means it works. Yeah, and no longer is that branch here. Option fix still is there because I didn't delete that one. Although, again, whenever this is finalized, I can do that safely. And that's basically it. I have a really nice, there might be an updated one of these, but it's something that I still look at all the time when I'm doing this stuff. It's, I don't know if I can actually show it. It's this nice document Lori made, and when I was, I don't know when she made it, but when I was in grad school, I used this a lot, and it just has all the commands, workflow for contributing, and there's also things to type and things not to type, which I actually can't find right now. But anyway, I'll post these things too, just because it has all the right commands and sort of all the right order. But if there are any questions or anything else, I'm happy to talk about it.